Mhm.
Hi, loves. I'm here today for such a special conversation. I'm so excited to bring you guys this beautiful coffee chat this morning because we are sitting down with one of the most gifted healers that I've known. She's been a true support to me in my work, in my growth, in my personal empowerment and development. Connecting with her, even just right now, is truly a privilege and a joy. She's all the way in Ireland, very far from where all of us are situated, but she is so near and dear to my heart. And it's really as an extension of my friend's family that I am sharing her presence and her gifts with you today. And we are going to talk about how to empower essentially your truth and come into your own authentic being and feel comfortable in that. And we're going to do it in kind of a woo way because our guest, Georgina Durkin, that is her specialty. She's very, very gifted. And so we're going to explore all the things. So please today, keep your hearts and minds open and just allow yourselves to receive whatever comes through this conversation because it promises to be magic. And so without further ado, this is our Georgina Durkin. Welcome, Georgie.
Oh, it's so lovely to be here. And yes, we're on the other side of the world, different time zones. My kitties are running around at dinner time, downstairs, evening time, yours are like lunchtime. And it's a privilege and an honor to be here and have this conversation that's so needed right now. Because I think we were just talking about how there's so much noise and information and distraction right now. And it can really make us question, like, well, what do I feel and what's my truth and what's right for me and what feels right for me and what do I believe, and all of those kind of questions are coming up. And in my work as an intuitive therapist, I work one-to-one mostly with people, helping them to really come home to who they truly are. So stripping away all the false self, the conditioning, the limiting beliefs, the fears, the worries, the ego, our parents' thoughts and ideas, our communities, and finding out, what do I truly feel is right for me? Who am I at my core? What do I desire? What do I need? What do I want in life? And how can I create my life and clear my life and build my life so that it is a match to that, or a resonance or an alignment with my truth? And really, I think I hope I give people permission to honor that, to trust that, and to know it, and to go forward in that direction. And I think it's really needed right now because we're bombarded constantly with so many different opinions, different thoughts, different ideas, different beliefs, different information, and to try and be able to filter through that from the lens of, well, what's right for me, is really difficult without help and support and people questioning and helping you question that, and helping you see maybe your shadow and parts of you that you don't want to see, or are really giving you permission to bring more of you out into the world and support that and honor that. So it's wonderful that you have a group that you can support each other to step fully into who you truly are. And when you do that, you feel this power, this peace, this contentment. It's not a power in a force power. It's an empower in a very gentle, just knowing that feels very calm and peaceful, and confidence that just moves through you. So that's what I help people with. And I'm hoping that this conversation strengthens your belief in yourself and your trust in yourself. Because if you trust yourself, imagine moving through your day and all the micro decisions and the macro decisions, the small things to the big things. If you trust what you know is right for you, how much less stressful life would be. Because to me, when we talk about soul and spirit and truth and being your true self and, finding who you truly are, that really doesn't mean anything if your daily life is still super stressful and frightening and worrying, and you've got anxiety and you've got tension and you overwhelm and brain fog and you don't know which direction to go in, all of that means nothing if your daily life doesn't change. So in order for your daily life to change, you have to trust yourself, because when you trust yourself, then the little small decisions, the big decisions that you're making in moments during your day, if you have a knowing of, nope, this is what's right, nope, this is what I trust, this is what feels right for me, your day flows with so much more ease and grace. And that's what brings a sense of peace and calm into your life, is the decisions you're making constantly throughout your day. If they are what you truly feel is right for you, then your anxiety, your stress, your worry, your fear totally decreases. And that's when you feel different. So that's what I'm hoping. If you can come away from this conversation and your daily life feels less worrisome, less fearful, less anxious, then we've done something marvelous today.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're curious, you'll be able to book a session with Georgie and explore that for sure, and how you can get into alignment. Because essentially, so how I discovered your work, Georgie, was in 2018. I feel like at some point in 2018, and then I think we first booked together, I want to say 2019. Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah.
I heard about your work in 2018, and then in late, and I was on my radar to book with you, and then in late 2019, my grandmother passed.
Mm.
I'm sorry, no, I had Quinn in 2019.
It was 2018.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
2018. So in 2017, so really, really, you came into my life from a distance, before actually being like this presence, through just the community that I was exploring, which was not as saturated and as noisy as it is now, which is as often things are, right? And I was exploring my burnout and these kind of gifts that I had in my intuition. I was really exploring my intuition, and I was starting to say no to things that I had never said no to before. And I was at really a pivotal moment. Some of you guys will remember, because you followed me for a long time, where I got accepted to become a teacher at McGill after burning out from a fashion career and saying yes forever. And decided that I wanted to be a teacher, just not a teacher in an institution, which, by the way, parentheses, can we just like celebrate that I said no to that? Because fast forward to a pandemic and how that would have looked out. This is one of those moments where often I'm like, thank God I followed my intuition in that moment, because it really served me down the road, you know?
It's like 2010, people, when I lived in Vancouver, asked me to do online sessions. And up to that point, I'd always done in person. And I was like, I don't know how energy will work online. And I started doing online sessions in 2010 or 2011. And I've been doing online sessions since. And it's like your soul knows, it's all set up so that when people really need you, you're going to be right there, fully ready to do the work. So
it's so true. Online is something that people wonder all the time. Like, does it work? Does the tarot work online? Can you read? It's all just, you know, there's nothing that can get between, as you're saying, the gift and the work that needs to be done between two souls committed to meeting each other in that moment. And so my grandmother passed in 2018, and that really invited me. That was the founding moment where I learned a lot about my grandmother through my connection with Georgie. And I think my grandmother's passing really facilitated our friendship and your relationship as a healer to me. Our mutual friend, Athena, often her and I talk about how you are therapy for us. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people in the Western world consider, is how a healer, a holistic healer, an alternative healer, a spiritual healer who can connect with your truth can be therapy. And it has been, I have, you know, as a Scorpio, Georgie is also a Scorpio. There's a lot of Scorpio energy in the community. We know all the Scorpio things. You want to go deep. Life is very powerful, very emotional, very volatile, very dramatic. It's all of the things. So we kind of know the therapy world pretty well because we've done our rounds with it. Yeah. And so I have to say that nothing truly compares to any session I've had with Georgie, where you were able to mirror exactly what you were just describing, making me feel like I was in a space of such familiarity and such comfort and such knowing with who I really was. It was like you brought it up to the surface. And it's unparalleled because everything you mirror for us it's like we know it. We just didn't know how to harness it. We didn't know how to access it. We didn't necessarily, it was maybe a part of, you know, like our body or our being that's hidden within us that we can't necessarily see outright all the time, but that can really serve us in certain moments of our life. And so you've really facilitated and supported and anchored and strengthened my connection to my intuition. And I'm eternally, truly, eternally grateful. And it really saddens me that there is such a great distance between Georgie and I, and that there's a pandemic, because we haven't actually hugged in real life. But she's tremendously changed my life, and is someone that I call on often for support. And so one of the things that I think, as I was just stating, is when we kind of start to question how we can embody our strength and how we can come into our truth, which I'm sure you feel the same, is a bit of a buzzword now. And so I kind of hesitate to even use that. Mm-hmm. But for all intents and purposes, the truth is where we just feel so authentic and so confident, as you said, to be exactly who we are and not apologize for that. And so a big part of that, I would say, and I think you would agree with me, is connecting with our intuition. And so what I would love you to talk on a little bit is, from your experience personally, as well as the sessions that you've given, what does that look like for us as women? And how can what are tools that you would know of that can help us kind of navigate from the early stages where we're like, I think that's something that I should be, because intuition is based on, at the beginning of it, fear. It's like, oh my God, that's there, but I don't want to say yes to that, because if I say yes to that, that means I have to say no to all of these other things and explain myself to all of these other things in the physical world. And that's really scary. But at this stage, 4 years later, I have to say that my intuition just runs my whole life. So it does become very comfortable. But when we're starting out, it's not always so much so. So what is intuition? How can you speak to intuition and how we can develop that connection in the early stages of our reconnection with it, right? Because we're born with it, but then we're conditioned away from it, and then we kind of figure out we have to go back to it.
Yeah, like intuition. Firstly, what it is, it's your soul speaking to you. It's the language of your soul. So it's the language of your truth. And I say the word truth. Truth is who you are before you were told who to be. So, you know, the part of you. I have a 6-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, twins that are 6.5. And around that age, you know, 5, 6, they are just who they are. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're just who they are. But I can start to see now, as they're in school and stuff, they're starting to be told, well, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or you need to be this. And you can see how kind of we get conditioned based on our family, on our community, the groups we are involved in, and part of how we need to be in order to be loved, appreciated, seen, and heard. I mean, our basic needs as a human being are to be seen, heard, loved, and appreciated. So we learn early on, what do I need to do? Who do I need to be in order for those needs to be met? And that's great if you're in a family that sees who you truly are. The parents are not worried about what anyone else is going to think, or, you know, just lets you be you and totally nourishes and supports and guides it. And that's really hard. No blame on parents. I even find myself doing, gosh, you can't, you know, do that because, like, oh, the teachers are going to, you know, oh. So, you know, it's not always feasible that we can just completely be who we are. But the major elements of us, we would love to keep those intact. But very often, especially 30, 40 years ago, sensitivity, intuition, feelings, energy, all that, you know, that wouldn't have been nourished or nurtured. So effectively, we would have been told to shut that off because that doesn't sound right. Nobody else is talking like that. They're talking about this stuff. I need to talk about this stuff. I need to sound like this. I need to use this language in order to be seen, heard, loved, and appreciated. So it's no blame on anyone. It's just we cover ourselves up with identities and words and things to try and get ourselves seen, heard, valued, loved, and appreciated.
Right. And
And so, yeah, so your intuition would have been probably going, oh, I'd really like to go and do that. Oh, but no, my mom won't like it if I do that. So, or my teacher won't like it if I do that, or they'll think I'm crazy if I do that, or no one, they'll push me out of the group if I do that. So your intuition comes up and going, I don't really want to go to that party. Oh, but I better go because if I don't, they're not going to like me. They're not going to. So it's always speaking to us, but we early on switch it off because we're trying to be loved and appreciated. And so that's we shut it down, we shut it down, we shut it down, we shut it down.
It feels like we're taught, like we're taught that if we don't do that, it's almost like the way that you're putting it together. It makes me feel like that's what 30, 40 years ago, our parents were like, if you don't do this, you're not safe. It was very clear. If you don't do this, you're not safe. And that was their conditioning too, right? As you and I know from our
and it's no blame, it's just conditioning, it's just learning. So this is how the ego starts to form. So it's this false self. It's just like our perception of what we need to be in order to be loved. So it's like, it mightn't be true at all because we're just perceiving or thinking my parents want me to do, or the teacher, but they might not have been thinking that, but we're thinking. So we like form this like ego, this other self, this like false self. And this is always the part that's arguing with our intuition. It's like always the part, no, it's not safe. No, they won't love you. No, they'll think you're crazy. No, they'll be disappointed in you. No, they'll be angry with you. So that's the part that's always arguing with your intuition. And so what we're really trying to do is make the intuition voice louder than the ego, because it will talk back to it and then say, hang on a second, wait, let's just see if I do follow this, what happens. So, okay, so our intuition is the true, who we truly are, what we were truly here to do, to be, to say, to act. It's like, and then the ego was formed just from layers and layers and layers of our perception of what we needed to be or say or do in order to be loved. What was the safer option based on what we thought, which most of the time isn't true at all. No. So or what we need to do to survive. First thing first, if you want to develop your intuition, you forgive yourself for everything in the past, or every time in the past that you have not listened to yourself. You don't go back and start, you forgive, because you were only doing what you had to do to survive. So you just, okay, I was only ever doing what I had to do to survive. So there's no mistakes, there's only lessons. Like people will go, oh, but I didn't listen to myself. That was such a mistake. Oh, I didn't do that. That was such a mistake. Not a mistake. You were doing what you had to do to survive. Forgive myself. Because if you are holding blame and anger towards yourself for times you haven't listened to yourself, that squashes your intuition even more, because you're basically angry at your intuition. You're saying, I shouldn't have done. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at myself. So that blocks it even more. First thing, forgive yourself. Second thing, intuition can only come up in stillness and silence. So you have to carve out some time in your day where you intentionally set some time in the day for stillness and silence, where you set an intention of, I want to listen to my intuition. I want to hear what you have to say to me. And you sit. And it doesn't matter what the ego says. The ego will say, get up. This is a waste of time. What are you doing? I have so many other things to do. What's the point of this? I'm not getting any messages. This is wrong. Blah, blah. You just say, I'm going to sit for 5 minutes. I'm going to sit for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, even if that's all you can do right now, 10 minutes. And I'm just setting an intention that anything that needs to come to me, come to me. And you have to set the intention, because we have conscious choice and free will. So you have to say, this is the time for my intuition to speak to me. Now, you may get pop into your head to call somebody, to do something later on that day. It may seem like profound, not profound. It may be like, oh, I need to text that person. I think I really want to do that. Oh, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to walk down this part of the whatever. So I would have a notepad or a piece of paper afterwards, and I would just jot down anything. It could be just a word. I want to call this person later. I don't want to forget that. Something that's on my mind. It could be, I need to get that done. It could be like a list of things to do. Just write it down, because I guarantee it's coming from somewhere else, or you're clearing off, like I always see it like clearing the lint, like off a dryer. I clear that every time I put the clothes in, and it's like that. You have to clear the kind of that fuzz to be able to hear your intuition. So write down anything that comes to you and just maybe put it somewhere that you see it during the day. Yeah. And the most important thing to develop your intuition is you must take action from it. You cannot develop your intuition unless you act from it. Nothing will change in your life unless you take action. You cannot think your way to a different life. You have to act your way. So, you know, if you get I need to call this person, I need to text this person, do it. I don't want to go to that thing later on. You know you're afraid, but you do it anyway. Say, no, I'm not gonna go. The only thing that's going to strengthen your intuition is to take action from it. There's no other way. I wish I could say to you, you take silence every day for 5 minutes and your intuition is going to get stronger and you're going to really trust yourself. You won't trust yourself till you take action and see how that feels and see the feedback that comes from the universe and the confirmation and all the signs and the synchronicities that show you that that was the best decision for you. And then that feedback strengthens it for the next time and strengthens it for the next time and strengthens. And you actually then get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I just know this is the right thing. And you cannot think your way there. You have to act your way there. There's no easy way to do it. But when you get so comfortable with it and so secure in it, as a mother, it's invaluable. As a human right now, navigating these times, to know which way to go is invaluable.
What to walk away from.
Oh,
like what to say no to. It's so interesting because what you're saying, when you cannot think of, you're like, I wish I could tell you could think of, but it makes me think of those who say intuition is like a muscle. You know, you can't think about going to the gym and feel like just because you thought about it, you're going to have an amazing workout. You know,
exactly the same.
You have to show up and be super uncomfortable. And that discomfort starts with saying pretty much no. It's no to the ego, which is the noise. And it's then no to the thing where I was saying earlier, and Georgie just kind of reinforced, where it's like the thing that you're like, oh God, I really don't want to do this. Often your intuition, when you're starting to question, what is my intuition? How can I act on it? It's not so much the yes scenarios, because those are more of a whisper. It's more the, how did you say yes to something you know you should have said no to, you know? And it's going to feel really like you're pulling off a Band-Aid. And there's ways to do it that you can learn by working with Georgie and myself, of course, with grace and love when you're challenged with other people. It doesn't have to be this like drama, really tense scenario. You know, you don't have to have.
What I try and say, like, no is what you'll definitely, because you have to create the boundaries, because you start then clearing away what isn't in alignment. So then most of the things around you then are based on what you feel is right. So it's like that becomes, everything in your life then becomes a support for you, rather than a drain or a pulling you defaults or to not be you. But no, try and remember, even when you're saying no, that sometimes no is the most loving answer. Like as a mother, no, often, most of the time, is the most loving answer. No, you can't run across the road when the car's, no, you can't like eat all of that. No, you can't, you know, it's like, no is the most loving response if it's coming from your heart. So it's like, no, this just feels right. And there's ways to say it, you know, thank you. And no, like, thank you for, and no, but, you know, this is not the right time, or this doesn't feel right. This is the language you're going to hear people use a lot more going forward. This doesn't feel right for me at this moment in time, but I reserve the right to change my mind. As our friend KK also, I say that every time. Today, this doesn't feel right. Doesn't mean tomorrow it won't feel right. There's no forever, but right now this is a no. But it could be a yes. Yeah. So it's like,
how does, as a segue from that and the boundaries, you know, so many of us are struggling to show up for I think a lot of us are experiencing change right now. If not all of us are experiencing change at some level. Some of us, it's really internal and we're really in alignment, you could say, which means we're just kind of surfing the wave. We're really in the wave. We're in the momentum of the wave. And then other of us are experiencing it externally more so, where it's like, okay, I'm starting to learn what I say yes to and what I say no to, and what other people's beliefs around what I say yes and no to are, and how I can navigate that. And some of us, it's really just both of those things colliding. And so for all of us at some level, there's something shifting, and it's palpable and it's pretty uncomfortable. And it's seeing us kind of question, who am I? And how do I show up more and more and more for who I am, or increasingly for what is meaningful to me? And so when I'm having sessions with folks, or when I'm, talking to people in the community and supporting them with astrology or whatever it may be, the inevitable follow-up question is, I see that I have to work on my boundaries, or I see that they're a little bit weak, and I'm feeling kind of a nudge that something is really brewing, but what do I do to really step into that whisper, that sort of like very fervent kind of nudge that I'm feeling, that I can only go so far with ignoring what I'm not doing right now. And often they'll be like, there's a close personal relationship where you have to be honest. It involves honesty. It's being honest with yourself about something, and then having to exert that honesty onto someone else. And that someone else might have a close connection with you, and there might be an impact. And the impact is probably related to you having a fear of rejection at some level. And so that's what tends to hold us back from speaking our truth, if you will. A lot of the women I know you work with, I even suffered with this for a long time, and it's something that I'm working on forever and ever, is speaking my voice, right? And coming into where I would just kind of shrink, I would be so physically uncomfortable, but I wasn't even aware of it. I mean, I was aware of my body somewhat, but nothing compared to what it is now. And it would just be like, I'm saying yes, but I know I should be saying no. I'll just wait for time to pass and everything will kind of fix itself. It'll just fix itself, sort of thing, And so I've evolved and shifted a lot, and I've lost a lot in that, but I've also gained tremendously as well. But when you're starting out, all you focus on is the loss, because you don't know what the gains are going to be yet. And so what is sort of your words of experience in your sessions with your own journey? Just your point of view on how we can support ourselves to be fearless in the face of saying no to the thing we know we have to say no to. How can we stand up for ourselves more? And even as I'm asking Georgie this question, guys, I really cannot stress enough that you need to book a session with Georgie. Like, I don't often say, I rarely will you have even heard me say, like, the guest I'm having, you need to go seek out their services or buy their products. But obviously I believe in everybody that I host, but I cannot tell you enough how much Georgie's sessions changed my life, helped me empower myself. They were critical in me understanding what was really going on and feeling a close connection to my inner world, in that I was like, okay, got this. Like, I understand where I'm coming from. I understand who I'm going to be, and I understand what I need to do right now in order to do that. And so even, notwithstanding Georgie's answer, it will be a blessing in your life to book a session with her and get her point of view on how you can personally own your truth.
Wow, I'm just trying to receive that, because it's very humbling to hear, but it's
so true, Georgie. You helped me so much.
Firstly, I don't want to sit here and say to you that every time I go and speak my truth, there's not a huge amount of fear that rushes through my body, and adrenaline and questioning and, are you sure you want to say this? Even now, where I know and I have a deep faith, it comes from a faith in knowing that when I do what feels right, only good happens. It really, but what also is what I have learned and seen is that when you speak your truth as honestly, but from the most loving place, with no want to attack, judge, make yourself right. It's just, this is what's in my heart. This is what I need to say. It's how you say it, the intention that you go in with, that will ultimately dictate the outcome. So if I go in with an intention of I have to make myself right, I need them to understand me. I need them to like me. I need them to approve of what I'm saying. That need is actually fear. So I'm now, it's going to, I'm probably going to come away feeling disappointed, very rocked, very vulnerable, feeling like, questioning it constantly. Did I do the right thing? Blah, blah, blah. So, but when I go in with, this is just what's in my heart. I just need to say this. I have no attachment to them needing to agree with me, them needing to approve of me, them needing to validate me, love me, and understanding that people can still love us and be angry and disappointed at the same time. So, like a mother, you can be angry and disappointed and think your kid is like, oh my God, you're that like devil in this moment, and still love you unconditionally. They can coexist. So people may still be angry and disappointed, like our partners and our, there's times I look at them and I go, oh my God, you just, how did I ever marry you? And I can still love them at the same time. Do you know? So it's that understanding that people can be angry, disappointed with us, but still love us. So when we have that knowing, it's like, they may get angry, they may be disappointed, but if the love is there, that love will still be there, even if they're angry and disappointed. In fact, the love actually goes stronger, because I've had a lot of these conversations over the last year that I've wanted to have for 30 years. And it's very uncomfortable. There's so much emotion in that. Your body is like, oh, it's nerves and excitement. I would say fear and excitement feel the same in the body. So you will feel some of that. It will be excitement at being able to speak your truth, but it will also feel like fear. So don't wait for that to not be there. It's actually excitement a lot of the time when you're about to speak your truth. It's like, because we know on a deep level, it's going to free us. Like every thing we've ever learned, the truth will set you free. So on a deep level, we know this is freedom, and all any of us want actually is to feel free. So it's actually excitement, I would say, that you're feeling more than fear. So don't wait for that to be gone. And it will feel very uncomfortable, very exciting, nervous, frightening. Your body will be shaking, and you will speak it, and it will feel uncomfortable probably for a day or two afterwards. And then there's a sense of lightness and freedom that comes in when you see that the world didn't fall apart, when you see that actually it feels like something's moved, and it has moved me forward, and I feel like I've lifted a weight off me, and I feel actually good stuff is starting to happen. So you have to wait a little while after you speak your truth. So it's like the big storm and the tornado. It's like whoosh, and we have to wait a day or two to see that, oh, the world didn't fall apart. It's not the end of everything. Actually looks calm again. Oh, so it takes some time. So don't expect straight away that you're going to feel amazing after you speak your truth. You're not, because it's very uncomfortable. It's a relatively new way of living and being. It's breaking a lot of conditioning for you. So it's not just the same way as when you go to the gym for the first time. It's painful. Your muscles are sore for the first few weeks and the first month or two. And then it's like, oh, I'm starting to feel really strong and comfortable, and this feels good. Or when you're letting go of a habit, like you resist, it's horrible, like giving up caffeine or something first. It's like headaches, horrible. You don't feel good, even though everyone's saying like detox, you'll feel great. No, you don't. You feel shitty for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Then you feel good. Yeah. So like,
you're right. It is a habit. It's a habit.
It's a habit. It's just a habit. Telling lies. We're telling lies all the time. It's a habit. So when I first started,
they are a little white
it's lies. We're lying to ourselves or to other people. So telling lies is a habit. So when you like, I even last week I was like writing a text to say why I couldn't do something, and I was like going to put, oh, it was to do with work, and I deleted it because I was like, nope, that's not true. No, and I deleted it because I was like, that's a lie. Delete, delete, delete. But the instinct is to try and make it sound nice so that so it's we're kind of always telling lies. So to stop it, it's going to take a lot of effort, and you have to this is really uncomfortable to say. No, actually, I just can't make it, or whatever. And so you'll feel really uncomfortable because it's a new habit, and it will feel really awkward and like for the first while. So don't think it's going to feel comfortable and it's all going to be like, oh, this is great. I'm speaking my truth. I feel great. I feel amazing. You'll feel really uncomfortable for quite some time. But then you get the good stuff. Yeah. Then you start feeling amazing. You start feeling free. You start feeling lighter. People notice their anxiety goes down. Their worrying goes down. Their stress levels go down. Their body feels better. And then you start seeing the universe start bringing so much good stuff to confirm that you're on the right path. And that's when you go, oh, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. It's so worth my while because look at all the things that have happened.
Yeah. Oh my God, Georgie, that is so well said. Like you're just leaving us with so much wisdom here. I love that you compared the fear to excitement, because that excitement is literally worth living for. And it's so amazing because it is like the tornado or the big storm. And then in the moment, you're like, this is all hell breaking loose. This is the end of the world. I'm not going to make it out alive. I'm losing everything. Yeah. And after it's like, oh, actually, this person is going to be perhaps an omen of who's going to stay the course with you, because they're coming out in support a few days later, a day later, a few moments later, whatever it is. And then there's going to be someone who's going to come out of the shadows and is going to be like, hey, didn't know you had that in you. Guess what? I'm team XYZ now. Let's do this. There's so much, to unpack with what you're saying, because it's like the guilt that we have as women. And, we are in a time right now collectively where we're just releasing at an individual level and a collective level. We're revisiting, we are unleashing, we are releasing, we are healing so much of what the generations before us just didn't take responsibility for, didn't know how to, didn't have the tools. And that is not an easy journey to be going through at any rate, because we feel so much of our power boiling from within, and we want to harness it, and we want to take responsibility. It's the generation that's born to do something with that and to be these great healers as a result of having tremendously done the work on ourselves and healed ourselves and activated that light and that power. But it's so challenging, and it involves a lot of commitment and tenacity, and a lot of just getting really, really, really comfortable with being vulnerable consistently. And that at the end of the day is authentic living in a lot of ways. And so I can say for sure that it's completely worth it. But I have to say that I could not put it as beautifully as you put it, because really and truly, like, speaking our truth is just something that by starting slowly, moving from your intuition to speaking your truth, it will single-handedly change your life, because you just won't live your life anymore. You'll have taught yourself what it feels like to say no to something that you'll remember you would have easily said yes to. And then all of a sudden it'll boil down to an example that you just said, where, in a few months or a few years, you'll be like, it'll just be a matter of checking yourself when you're sending even a text message and you're lying. And that is a light moment of a boundary relative to some of the bigger blocks you came through. It's boundary work is a life's work. It is a life's work. But when we're starting out, it definitely feels a little more stormy than it feels peaceful and just kind of.
I would just say the best way to start is just start becoming aware of where you're telling lies, because that's the opposite of your intuition. So just go, ooh, is that a lie? Okay, I might not be able to say the truth right now, but then I just don't say anything at all. Does that make sense? So if you can't say the truth, don't say anything at all. Don't lie. Just don't, because that's betraying yourself. So every time you do that, you knock your true self back another post. So just catch yourself and just say, is that a lie? Yep. Okay. can I say the truth? No, no, not right now. Okay, then I just won't say anything at all. It's kind of like, if your parents, if you have nothing kind to say, don't say anything. It's kind of that. And every time we stop telling lies, we're strengthening our truth, because it's the opposite. So the first step is just notice where you're telling lies to yourself or to others, and just stop. Take a pause, because it's in that pause you're creating the opportunity for your real self to come out. And she will. And she needs your support. So she just needs action. Action is how you support someone. Take action. And anytime I can tell you when I have felt deeply depressed, from the darkest of times in my life, or deeply anxious, frightened, worried, scattered, overwhelmed, is when I'm doing things or saying things that don't feel right.
You're absolutely, that's so true and so poignant. Like, we cannot reflect on that enough, really. You've given us so much wisdom and so much opportunity to
we
really
could talk for hours about this. It's like hours and hours.
So Georgie has this amazing deck of cards that you created. It's called Soul Side Up. And look, they fit in the palm of your hand. And I just pulled a card.
Oh, did you?
For conversation. And I am willing to see the situation differently.
Oh, well, that's one of my favorite ones, because that's one I have to like carry every day, especially if you've got a partner. And you're like, my shadow is always trying to be in control and judgment. That's my shadow. So I'm always like, I'm right. I'm judging you. Like, you're wrong. You're doing it wrong. Especially as a parent, like, no, my way is right. I want to control it. I want to control you. I want you to do it the right way. That's my way. And so I have to carry that with me, like, as in, I'm willing to see this differently, because just because I think this is right, there may be a different way that's, equally right. And everyone has their right, so anytime I think I need to be right, I'm going to be lonely, so I wonder if I pick one, will I think these are powerful messages when we set an intention of creating the message. Wow, perfect too. I am open to receive love and abundance. So when you can start seeing your life differently, like start seeing that there's a different way here. I don't have to keep going down this road, or I can follow my truth. You will open up to love and abundance. That is 100% sure. When you start honoring yourself, the world honors you.
I feel like, what I thought intuitively too. I was like, if I put this card and it was like one of Georgie's cards, I wonder if she pulls a card, will it reflect my shadow? And I feel that the love thing is such a critical thing, because I didn't get that support so much when I was growing up. And so I'm learning how to step into that now and receive that, and it's a foreign language, to be honest.
I think Scorpios find it difficult to receive love. I think we're so intense and so inward and so like hard on ourselves a lot of the time, because we examine everything so deeply and think of everything.
And we're so committed to our independence and our capacity to hold our own. It's like, I don't need you. I've got this.
Yeah.
Right.
And really hard to receive.
Yeah. It's so hard, but it's kind of, in a lot of ways, it's a two-way street, love, because I'm learning a lot about my North Node in Cancer this year, and opening myself up to receiving the love and support that, to one of the points you made earlier, might look different than I expected, but it doesn't mean it's not still very present.
Yeah.
So on that note, we're going to finalize this conversation, like two just really, really critical and beautiful questions that Georgie shed light on for us today. I hope you guys got value and support and felt so seen through this. And I'm sure you guys are just reveling in this conversation, because there's just so much that, even still at this stage of my journey, what Georgie speaks to, I'm learning from and hearing in a different way. So please let me know if you guys have any feedback or any questions. And Georgie, please let us know how we can book a session with you.
Oh, I always say about sessions, you'll know if it's right. I'll just keep popping into your head. I always say that, even to people that come to me for years and years and years, I say, you'll know when you need to. It could be 6 months, a year from now, next week. And I'll just keep popping into your head, popping into your head, popping into your head. And I always say to people, trust that and reach out. And whenever we do connect, will be absolutely when you're ready to receive the messages from your soul. And the easiest way is just to go on my website. All my everythings are there. And Instagram is where I kind of share all my day-to-day stuff, it's Georgina Durkin, Durcan, and that's where you'll find me. And I'd love to connect with you in the world in that way.
Yes, it would be, honestly, we're all richer for it. I can say that for sure. I'm going to put all those links at the bottom for all you loves. Thank you for being here with us today. Please let us know what you enjoyed the most and what you felt the most connected to, so we can continue the conversation. We can take it over to Discord as usual. You can comment right here below this post in Patreon. And of course, you can comment and share with us on Instagram as you see fit. Please go support Georgie. She deserves it. She's doing amazing things online and truly in the world. Thank you, loves. I will talk to you very, very soon. Have a great week.